And I think in the next couple of minutes, we're going to have a session of discussion, maybe question and answers. But I think Stephanie welcomes me. I just realized in these three presentations, there are some words which were regularly mentioned, like in both presentations. There is engagement, community, and stakeholder. And there's another, can I say, relationship or influence between the research projects and the community. And there was research and trial, but there was an issue of documentation. And one of the presenters says this is a two-way beneficial relationship. Like the community participation benefits from the research, and the research benefits from the community. I really like that. But there should be standards or guidelines or principles to be followed. With the second presentation, Naomi showed us she said stakeholder mapping goes beyond identification of stakeholders. In most cases, we think once you have identified your stakeholders, then that's it. But it is a process. She showed us the famous onion, I like that, with different levels of stakeholders. And she said you need a strategy based on the nature of your study, and also you need a plan of activities and metrics, whereby Christine continued to tell us about this plan, the importance of plan, and for monitoring and evaluation. I'll insist on what Christine said about the work plan. Initially, I hope you remember all the sites, we have been using different work plans from the sites depending on the activities. But I think as we continue to be able to accommodate the monitoring and evaluation program and reporting especially, as we continue, we are going to have a work plan which cuts across like a single format work plan for across the sites to be able to merge our studies with the program of monitoring and evaluation. More details will be given, as I said, on monitoring and evaluation will be given tomorrow. But there was one important aspect mentioned by the first speaker was about publication and showing the impact or the value of our work as community engagers. To be honest, we do a lot of work out there, but nobody recognizes because we cannot document. We have not published. We cannot quantify it, let's say 70%, 80%, and with the confidence value and those things, we cannot do that, but we can do something. Now, since we have the program and monitoring evaluation with Mari, who is mentoring us on this, I think maybe in 2 or 3 years to come, we'll be able to show the impact of our work. So thank you very much for that. I would like now to welcome the discussion, maybe question. Stephanie, you're welcome. I think I will also sit here in the high table.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the summary, Erica. And I just wanted to share a couple of high-level takeaways that I got from this panel. And I just want to thank all of you for coming and sharing your experience. This is exactly what I was hoping we would have, a very high-level discussion about best practices. A couple of takeaways from Khadijah's introduction to this whole discussion. We have guidance. We have expectations. We don't have requirements and regulatory, things that we need to do like good clinical practice. And I actually loved version 1 of GPP from back in 2009. I know the next one was a little bit broader, but it really opened my eyes. Having a broader guidelines that explain a one-line requirement in GCP that says stakeholder engagement should be done. We always think if it's in GCP, we're doing it. No, because if there's no explanation of what that means, what does that mean? So the GPP guidance is there to help us understand that. I want to talk a little bit about the enabling environment we need to have all of these things take place, to have the funding available, to have a team in place, to focus on a plan for engagement for a trial that is early, throughout, long-lasting, where we're mapping appropriately, where we have teams that have autonomy at the site level to plan and influence their own team members, and to be able to collect that information, evaluate it, ultimately publish it. And so I'm taking a step back with this first question. Khadija, I'm going to point to you, but also I'm going to ask a principal investigator in the room about what is required for providing this enabling environment for you to do your best work possible. Yeah, Khadija, to you first for thoughts, and I'm going to put Dr. Brunskin on the spot as well as the head of a site.
I mean, I suppose resources are required primarily. And before resources, a standard is required. So there won't be resources without it being a requirement. We push our IRB, the Joburg IRB, the WITS IRB, very hard to deflect submissions that don't have a community engagement component, which is controversial and sometimes gets us into trouble, but it's an important advocacy point for us. So you first have to have the mandate, some kind of standard or requirement. Then you have to have money. That's the truth. And money is irrelevant until you have the right people in the right place with the right skills, and the more sophisticated and nuanced part, I suppose, is the right collaboration in the sector, both the disease area, but also across GPP, and also between the North and the South and in Sub-Saharan Africa. So that kind of matrix of collaboration is quite important. But that for me would be the kind of logic model. It would be commitment, rules, money, people, skills.
Thank you. And we know based on the GPP guidelines that everybody involved in research has a role and responsibility. So community engagement may be primarily implemented by engagement staff themselves, but can't be done without support from their team. And Dr.
Actually, an investigator's role is to lead community engagement. So in the DAIDS model, the investigator's role is to lead community engagement. And so it's also that relationship internal in the CRS is, does the community engagement team relate well to the investigators and vice versa? Or is it siloed? So we have different experiences in our CRS depending on a variety of factors. Sometimes it's very siloed. Sometimes there's a lot of collaboration, but the goal is you're led by your investigator. You are the support to your investigator. The investigator is not a researcher. So you're first a researcher and then you're an investigator. There's a reason why there's two different words for it. And it's because the role of the investigator is much broader.
Let's look at the actual context of a TB trial site. And Dr. Brunskin, please walk us through. How do you support your team?
Thanks for putting me on the spot. Wasn't really expecting that, but look, I'm honored to be here to sort of share the experiences that we've had and to try and sort of learn from everyone here. At our site, we've been doing TB and HIV research for, almost a decade and a half. And what we've sort of worked with is having community engagement staff that are, grassroots, born and bred from where we are, and sort of empowering them to, participate. For example, Irene and John have participated in the GPP guidelines drafting for TB. Get them to sort of help the young and upcoming people to understand what GPP is and to have a strong and broad representation in our CAB, and sort of work with them to try and see how we can impact the understanding of what we do in our community, and also how we can learn from our community what they need. I think there's a slogan where they say nothing about us without us. And slowly but surely it's infiltrating into everything we do. We've been lucky, obviously, to work with sponsors, including TB Alliance, who actually have a budget for community engagement. It's been difficult to do trials that don't have any sort of community engagement budget, and we'd have to leverage our board and the company to try and see where we can, use company resources to make sure that that happens, even if there isn't a budget indicated. But like I said, with TB, for example, we've had a strong, assistance with community engagement. And also with our date studies, we've had, for example, the ACTG is very strong with community engagement, and the HVTN as well. So all in all, like the colleague has said, it's all about having some sort of guideline in place, and us being an advocate on the ground to say, yes, we want to do this trial, but we need the resources to do the trial. Meaning we need to be able to have community engagement, events happening on the ground. We need to be able to work very closely with the government, which are stakeholders that are there, and other NGOs on the ground to work towards getting the 1990 goals in place. Yeah.
Great for being on the spot. Thank you so much. I just want to do a time check. We have about 5 more minutes, and we're running about 15 minutes behind, but we're going to make up time this afternoon. Erica, over to you for a little bit more discussion and questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefan. So,
yes, mine is not a question. I just wanted to have a little bit of information on the formative research, because now is an issue before doing a clinical trial, because we keep on applying and then later on you do the amendment because you have not focused well on the areas of the population. So I just want to have how best we can do the formative before going, at least in a nutshell.
Thank you, Aditi. Actually, it doesn't have to be a question. It could be a comment. It could be an addition, a contribution, anything. It's just it's a discussion.
So ideally, you want to have a long-term relationship with your population, with your area. So different trial sites they sometimes have relationships with the population, or sometimes a geography, or sometimes both. Like, for example, we have a site that is particularly focused on key populations, which extend beyond just Hillbrow. Our site focuses on Hillbrow, where adolescent girls in Hillbrow and men who don't want to go to the clinic, those are our populations. So we build that relationship over a long period of time. And so it's quite easy to if you repeatedly conduct key elements of formative research, you can have baseline stats that you keep using, right? So if you just do a simple knowledge, attitude, behavior survey repeatedly with your priority populations or geography, you will kind of have formative research ready. But there's always extra questions when a trial comes. There's always additional questions. And then you have to have very nimble ways of accessing your population. And that can only happen when you have an ongoing, sustained relationship with them. So that would be my one point. However, it's also about timing. You cannot say to me as community engagement person, we are recruiting in 2 weeks' time, please do the formative research. It doesn't work like that. So you need to educate your own CRS and your own investigators to kind of understand that there's a lead in. And if community engagement is part of activation right at the beginning, because activation happens sometimes a whole year in advance. If you start at the beginning, you will have the time to ask those nuanced questions that are required for formative research. And then that will influence trial design, etc. But you can also use your CABs. I mean, we see our CABs once a month. We really push them to participate. There's a lot of work involved. But ideally, it should be a standard that that there's pre-site selection, And then you do formative research, and then there's final site selection. That's the idea.
Thank you, Adija. And also, I have heard this other people, it should be also remembered to put it in the budget. Because you have seen in some of the research where formative research was not budgeted and somewhere it has to be done, and then you get some problems. So once you are writing, I think it's okay, it's good to put the budget for formative research. Okay, can I start that question and then?
Oh.
Yeah, we only have 5 minutes, so.
I'll
keep it
try,
short.
I'll
Thank
try to be as,
Okay, there's one more.
as short as I can. Now, I'm not sure whether it's going to be a question or a comment. Maybe you're going to assist me. Around this issue of formative research and protocol development, the background that is given, it just reminds me back, I think somewhere, if you remember, in about 2016 or 2018, it was an HIV prevention study that was taking place in our community in Delft. I think it's a PrEP something. Now that you're saying you're facing challenges around that, the HIV prevention and lessons that might be learned from the GPP in TB trials, I'm just trying to find out when the guys, I'm not going to mention the name of the company that was doing that research or those trials there. But what I've picked up is that some of the issues that you're highlighting is that for us as the community in Delft at the time, there was no formal community advisory board that was established by that company. But we were informed that there is a trial that is taking place. People were knocking into our doors. And at some point, some of the community members were skeptical because they had no background of why must they participate in the study or in that trial. And at a later stage, there was a mass meeting that was called in a community hall that we were to be informed of the outcome of the results. And literally, there was nothing presented to us to say, this is what transpired. Instead, there were refreshments. People were entertained with refreshments. That's what we've realized. And we've questioned that particular program. But because we were part and parcel of the task applied science CAP, now we're seen to be as if we're trying to be problematic because it's another company that was doing the trial, not task. So those are the things I'm saying that maybe if you outline that, because from where I'm coming, when task applied science is bringing a new protocol, they would make sure that before it can expand, they will come to us and then they will present the protocol with all the relevant people that are doing the protocol. And then we as the CAP will have input from the community, raise issues that are of concern from the community. And at times we bring some certain representative from the community so that they can engage. And then from there is going to be a structure that will look into the inputs that is coming from the community and then be able to finalize that development of that protocol to see whether it does speak into the community that the trial is going to take place. I just wanted to come up with that comment because around the issue of HIV, we're still experiencing some of those challenges. We don't even know the formal protocol that is being taken, and recruiters, they just want to tick the box and then go. So that's the challenge that we still continue to find in some areas in our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that concern. I would like generally we are really running out of time, but I would like to say, that's why we really say community engagement, it has to be continuous. Do not be done only during the recruitment. It has to be a continuous in all stages of the study. Stefan would like to add?
Thank you so much. No, I agree. And I know we have a lot more comments. This is exactly what we're hoping to happen today. And you know, we're lucky if we use up all the time with discussion. What I would like to ask is if Naomi and Christine could also add one last thought from your panel that you want everyone to leave with. And then I would recommend that we take a tea break. We will pick up the conversation in the next session and continue this dialogue. Thank you.
Yeah, and also during tea break and lunch, these people are around, so we could ask them our questions. I'm sorry, we're really running out of time. Is that okay, Peter? Are you angry with me? Okay. Second one.
Good morning again, colleagues. Yeah, straight to the point. Okay, firstly, thank you to the panel. And Khadija, it has been indeed a good information session, because my question was that whatever that we are doing within communities, where can we publish it? And my question is that, is there a platform that we can join to share our community work, and also to link as well our stakeholders, and also to get information? How can we do that? And to the floor, this is my best friend. My best friend, I don't know about yours. Since I started research, this is a book that helps me to grow. And I wish that, actually, I lost this one. This is a new one. I had to go and look for it. So I had to download a PDF. But if we can is there a platform where we can provide these books to?
Everyone's got a GPT on TV.
Yeah. So, yeah, if I was there, thank you.
Yeah, the GPP book is in our package. I think it would be nice for everyone to have a look at it. Okay.
I think my last thoughts, just to speak on us being able to publish our work. What we're doing is that we are forcing ourselves in the tight spaces, in the round tables as community engagement officers, making it uncomfortable for the clinical teams to make sure that they hear our voices. And what we're actually doing, and I think maybe we can have a broader discussion, is that as our side, we are creating an ethnographic piece that we're going to include in each and every protocol. We're sending it to the sponsors. It's getting approved by our own ethics board to give us the opportunity to document the narratives, the experiences that we are collecting throughout those different projects, and be able to have rights over that data, because that is our story and of what we do on the ground. And I think it's something that we can all advocate for, to have those, standard pieces within the protocols to ensure that we're able to document and publish our own work, and have us be the authors in those pieces. And lastly also is that, when sites apply for studies, we've also made sure that we're in the room, that when they do the feasibility checks, our community is there, and we're able to say straight on that this won't work, and are able to even provide the data to support it, having been partnered with our different stakeholders who feed us this information on a quarterly basis from our Department of Health, from our various organizations, to say these are the numbers that we're seeing with different populations, and this is what you can expect if you've got such a study. And we're able to say, no, this won't work, and for various reasons. And our site has been able to take our word for it and not take on the studies. So I think it's us being able to get into those tight spaces with the investigators, with the boards, and make sure our voices are heard.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Christine?
Okay.
One last word.
Okay. So, in my opinion, I think we need to have a structured way of planning our community engagement activities, so that we can be able to evaluate and measure the impact our community engagement activities have to our researchers. So through this program, we have a lot of documentation, and perhaps this is one way we can use in publishing our results. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naomi, Khadija, and Christine. And thank you very much for the team for listening to this. I would really like to give one applause to our presenters.